Hello, everyone, and welcome to PlumesCast. My name is Seth, aka PhantasmaPlumes, and I'm coming to you pre-recorded from the Observatarium. As always, I thank you for tuning in today. So, before I really get started in here, alright, I really wanted to talk about, how today's podcast was just completely changed on its head. Alright, I came into this today, because as you can probably tell, I'm a little heated. I'm slightly heated. Look at my boy again, all official and shit. You know what, Jello? Yeah! First off, before I even go into anything I was about to say, this is a live recording. I'm doing this live on Wisdom, and I am doing this live on Twitch. Feel free to follow either of those at PhantasmaPlumes if you want to be a part of the next recording. But I have Jello in chat. I've got people here on Wisdom. We are ready to have a great time. Because, ayo, I'm not having a good time right now. I genuinely am upset. And, the thing is I've talked about this before in the past. I'm not the type to get angry. It takes a lot to get under my skin. And when you finally get there, congratulations, clap, clap, clap to you. It's not an easy feat by any means whatsoever. And I hope, in getting this emotional, this empowered, this fired up about something, I can help anybody who listens to this podcast or, the recordings from YouTube or Twitch or whatever to understand why I'm so fired up about this. Okay, that's why before I even begin all this, I openly challenge anybody that wants to have a conversation about this. It's not an argument. It's not a debate. I want to have a friendly conversation. God, I'm not even 2 minutes. Oh no, I'm barely 2 minutes in and I'm slurring my words. But no, I want to have a friendly conversation about your thoughts. And I want to have people challenge mine. So I'm going to start this podcast by saying, hey, if you want to shoot me a message and defend why you think the way you do about this certain thing, by all means, send it to me on Twitter at PhantasmaPlumes. Send it to me on Wisdom at PhantasmaPlumes. You can email me at PhantasmaPlumes@gmail.com. That mailbox is always open for you. Alright, I wanted to talk about, setting up a goal. Starting new goals. Being able to take things from zero. Because you know what? Your boy is proud of himself. Your boy is amazingly proud of himself because Juju and I, the Fox wife who's sitting in the room, the recording observatarium, you can see her on Twitch. You should follow me on Twitch just so that you can see how cute she is. But anyway, I wanted to, have this conversation about setting goals because the Fox wife and I have completely changed up our schedules here recently. So that way I am able to go to the gym after I drop her off at her new gig. I've been doing it now for 3-4 days, and it's mind-blowing to me. I've kind of changed who I am 120% because, ayo, your boy was never a morning person to begin with. And now all of a sudden, here I am, rising and shining at 4 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. And then the fact that I go to the gym afterwards, ayo, no, that wasn't me. I actually used to laugh at people like that because I was just like, man, how do y'all have that energy? I wish I had that energy. I don't, but now I'm gaining it, and it's weird. It's a very weird thing. It's a conversation topic that I've written down, and I will come back to. It's also one thing, if you guys are part of the Plumes Paradise Discord, I am building into coming tomorrow, where I'm talking about, the Forest app, which has been helping me focus more at work. Habitica, which is a habit forming app that's gamifying it. I have, a group open over there that I want people to feel, welcomed and challenged and empowered to come in and build themselves up better. That was the topic for today. And I also wanted to, give a shout out because we're doing No Shave November right now. And we are 50% to our goal. I'm incredibly proud of that. It's the 10th of the month. I still have 2/3 of the month left to go, and we're already halfway there. I'm amazingly thankful for my community for that. And everybody listening in right now, I can't thank you enough for continuing to support me the way you do, because it's thanks to y'all that I can help make a change in this world. Because, ayo, here comes the intro to the actual topic today. We're talking about empathy and the lack of it in the world right now. I have been, more than patient, I would say, with a lot of things. The thing that finally got under my skin, though, is one that, I think a lot of people can kind of side with, is the student loan ordeal. Okay? Mind you, I don't strive to be a political podcaster by any means. I don't mean to, take away messages of, building yourself up, human growth, the kindness that we all have within us. That, at the end of the day, is always going to be what my message is. I want to inspire people to look inside themselves and do better. Because, let's face it, all of us can do a tiny bit better. Me, myself, I'm fully in that. I talk a lot of shit. I can fully say that. I make jokes that, honestly, aren't the nicest at times, without making jokes about other things. So, without understanding the world around me 100%. Now, yes, is it for fun? Sure. But at the same time, I can be kinder. I can be more welcoming. I can be more friendly. I do have a terrible, for anybody who's ever seen me in real life and who hasn't seen me, animated on stream, I have a terrible resting bitch face. And I want to work on that. Because, if you got to know me and got to see me and got to see, like, the charity work I'll do, or, the safe space that I work to build, like, I'm completely different from what that glare shows to me. But it also reminds me that the world is judgmental as fuck, and it's not empathetical back to me. So, in making myself more empathetical, and understanding the world's problems, and understanding where other people are coming from, and the way they live their lives, I then hope, in turn, the world does it back to me, and doesn't look at me off the rip, and say, oh, he's just staring, he's got a terrible glare. Because, no, I really want to talk about how this all really started, was because it's stupid to say. It really is stupid to say. But the reason I became such an empath is because when I was younger, I was bullied all the time. I didn't understand why. And I started making other people's problems my problems. I didn't know I was developing empathy in the worst kind of ways. But I wanted to understand why I was being bullied. So I helped other people fix themselves to then try and fix myself afterwards. I became a people pleaser, the worst kind of people pleaser. Because I wanted to save the world. I became a martyr. I wasn't showing empathy. I was showing, basically anything else. Empathy, to just quickly go over it, is being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And go in with the goal of understanding the other person. All right? I didn't have that 100%. I had it to a warped degree when I was younger. And as I've grown up and experienced more things in life, I can tell you with a certainty that I've developed a stronger sense of empathy. Because I see other people, I can relate to them, I understand them. And now, instead of, sympathy, I'm empathetical because I want to see the world succeed. And I want to do what I can to help other people, whether that's just doing this podcast and making people smile and forget about the world's bullshit for a day, or, doing streams, doing charity work, whatever I can do, I want to do it because I want to see the rest of the world succeed. I don't want anyone to have to suffer the way I had to get to the point where I'm at now. And that, my friends, is how I'm pivoting all this to this student loan debacle. All right, for those of you who don't know, it has been a hot topic conversation ever since President Biden has been elected. One of his big campaign promises was, certain amount, some people say 5,000, some people say 10,000, certain amount of money being removed from student loan like holders, which myself, I am one. All right. I never counted on it. I never expected it. But when all of a sudden we get this notification saying, hey, if you go apply here, you can get up to $10,000, or if you got the Pell Grant, $20,000 worth of help. What scared me the most, because let me tell you, I was ecstatic. I was absolutely one of the people that are like, this could help me so much. Because just to be upfront with y'all, I've been paying my student loans despite the freeze because I don't want to pay the interest on them. And I've paid like $175 every month to that student loan number. I am incredibly thankful just for the opportunity to have a student loan freeze. But what I'm not thankful of is being told, oh, hey, this $10,000 could be a thing, or this $20,000 could be a thing, and then all of a sudden the world just stops. And again, at this point, I would like to challenge anybody that wants to have a conversation about this. My email is open on the side. It is plumescast@gmail.com. PLUMESCAST@gmail.com. I want to have a conversation about your thoughts on this. Okay? Or anybody in the Twitch chat, you're more than welcome to hop in and be like, this is how I feel about this. Okay? But look, I'm incredibly and amazingly surprised that so many people are cheering that it all of a sudden just was knocked as unconstitutional. Now, mind you, for everybody that knows anything about political science, it's going to go to, the Supreme Court, where it's going to be debated up there, and it's ultimately going to live and die in the Supreme Court. President Biden could veto it, or could, pass it along, possibly. I'm not entirely sure how that one would play out, because it's its home policy, but, he could overrule that, I'm pretty sure, to a certain degree, if he gets the voting properly. But the thing that ultimately just gets to me is there's so many people in any comment that you look through saying, well, I paid my student loans, you should pay yours. Now, I'm going to be upfront with y'all, okay? I fully subscribe to that. I don't believe student loans should be completely obliterated off the market. Because you know what? That's how banks make their money. That's how a good chunk of the government makes their money, off of the interest. I understand what interest does for the economy. I understand what taking a loan out and magically paying it off does to the economy. But what I don't understand is why so many people are like, oh my God, yes, they should pay all of it off. I get where y'all are coming from. I understand that, because you didn't get a handout, you're mad about it. I understand that. I sympathize with that. But the thing is I really want to know, to everybody who thinks that way, how much was your rent? How much was your house mortgage? How much was your car? Let's talk about what the dollar is worth. Okay? Because we have lived, now mind you, I like to call myself the voice of the silent generation because, I'm tired of being silent. I'm tired of being deemed, this non-factor because of the generation before me, how badly I've been messed up by them. Now, for everybody that doesn't understand how, the succession of power goes between generations, let me explain it really quickly. When Generation A comes to power, they make policies that benefit Generation A for the most part, some to Generation B, but Generation B is a little bit bigger. So eventually Generation B takes power. Generation B holds power until Generation C, who's a little bit bigger, comes and takes over the power. Like power of the government. And yes, I fully understand that people are going to go through and make, policies that benefit them, that are greedy in nature. I get that. I hate the fact that I feel as though my country is being propelled only by greed, but at the same time, it's just, I hate the fact that every decision has a dollar backing behind it. There's a money trail you can follow. And it's just mind-blowing to me how now we have the baby boomer generation who is so much bigger than us millennials, us Gen Z, Gen X too. These three groups are smaller than the baby boomers still. The baby boomers are still making all the decisions that impact us. And they are the ones to look at us and be like, well, I paid my student loans. I did this. I did that. You don't deserve handouts. I really just want to know. How much is that house you're living in? Because look, it's not just a me thing. Okay, yes, it impacts me. Yes, it impacts, how quickly I'm able to go out and start living the life that I was promised I'd live. Mind you, after going to college, because I was told all throughout, high school, oh yeah, no, if you don't get a degree, you ain't nothing. And a bunch of jobs when you're out of college saying, hey, if you don't have a bachelor's, you ain't nothing. Like, I understand the importance of a college degree. I understand that if you take a loan out, you have to pay it back. I get that. I fully understand that. Again, that's why I don't want student loans to fully be wiped. But I really want to know, why then do we continue to keep pushing people down? Because look, the value of the dollar is not holding up worth a damn compared to what it was back in the past. What you can buy with a dollar back in the past is not what you can buy with one today. And I always make the example, okay? I'm going to toss out a random number. What $100,000 could pay for my dad way back when, he had my family had a 5-bedroom house, 3.5 baths, or 2.5 baths. It was a nice house. It was maybe valued at like $300,000 when it was built, maybe $400,000. Tell me why a townhouse, which is a fraction of that fucking size, is valued at $500,000. Mind you, I'm not in the city. I'm nowhere near the city. Like, I'm told constantly by people older than me to be like, hey, yo, you just need to do X, Y, and Z and you'll be fine. Move further away. Prioritize on having kids. You want too much because, you're just an entitled millennial. And that's not the case. What I really want to bring in front of everybody is the value of the dollar has changed. What you could buy for $1 is what now costs me $5. Look, and again, I said this off the rip, it's not about me only. It's about everybody who's, millennial and lower who are trying to make our footing in the world. It's been talked about a lot in the newspaper and everything else where, the middle class is shrinking away because it's now a collection of the haves and the have-nots. We're putting more people into lower income type situations where they can't find housing. Housing's just too expensive. They can barely buy food. They're struggling to live. More people every single day are wondering where the fuck they're going to live. And, to get so close to getting a helping hand and then having it snatched away from us and being told, haha, you should continue to suffer but just asinine to me. What blows my mind the most, and one thing that I don't think anybody really talks about, is our generation has been taught to be self-entrepreneurs. We were taught we have to monetize our hobbies in order to, make a living or have a second job, have a third job. I fully salute the people that work 3 jobs, 4 jobs. I used to do it too in college because it was so expensive back then. And I was barely fighting through then. Mind you, back in college, I wasn't working system admin position. No, I was working as entry-level IT. I was working as a public relations representative. I was working at fucking Target, doing retail. All 3 jobs while going to school full time. And the thing that really also gets me upset is, I'm not sure if you guys have seen it on Twitter, but a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago now, there was a barista that absolutely blew up saying, how much Starbucks needed to unionize. how much an 8-hour day wasn't worth, or like they're working an 8-hour day and that's too much on them. And everybody jumped on their case. They're like, oh, he's just being a punk. How dare these weak kids, complain about X, Y, and Z. I promise I'll stop doing X, Y, and Z. But how dare these weak kids, complain about working an 8-hour job? I work a 10-hour job. I work a 12-hour job. Good for you. If that's how you choose to live your life, by all means. But nobody talked about, people yelling at this poor dude who is being yelled, like, over coffee. Being screamed at by grown-ass adults. And for what? Because their coffee was a little slow? It's just infuriating to me that we can be told, oh, we don't deserve handouts. We don't deserve shit. Time and time again. But ayo, if my coffee's cold, I'm absolutely in my right to scream at you. A grown-ass adult was screaming at a teenager, a college student. In what world is that okay? The world, again, everybody is generally losing empathy. Everybody's generally losing sympathy. And I wanted to take this podcast, this whole episode, to remind people that, hey, you don't have to give us everything that you got. We just want you to understand that we are struggling. We continue to struggle because nobody hears us. No, and whenever you do hear us, you can't, you cotton pick it to, just the seeds of it. And it's just oh, they're complaining about 8-hour work days. They're complaining about, unfair treatment, so on and so forth. I have to do with this. I have to do with that. It's not about you. Why does everybody have to suffer? Why can't we continue to look for the best in everybody? People talk about what can we do to reduce crime and shit. I guarantee you, one of the best things you can do is actually treat some people like humans and give them some help. Get them out of the situation that they're in so that way maybe they don't have to consider crime. Yes, it's a terrible thing that they do. I'm not justifying anybody's, resort to violence or anything like that. But I'm empathetic to see, ayo, I understand that this is why they came to the conclusion they did. Was it the healthiest one? No. And there's a whole bunch of conversations about mental health, about, well-being, being able to be who you are. And people try and just shut it all up. Why? I don't understand. That's why I'm I'm fully encouraging anybody and everyone who wants to jump in on this conversation. Please do. Emails PlumesCast@gmail.com. Send an email. I want to know what your thoughts are on all this. Because at the end of the day, empathy is fading. And I just really want to take this episode to not only bring up a good number of examples, but also say, hey, this is how you can show a little more empathy. You have people who are absolutely upset at the world, who, get mad whenever they're called Karens because they're like, I'm just trying to get service, so on and so forth. And they're being punk asses. I'm sorry, there's no other way to say it. Excuse me. But you have people that are just being terrible to other people and fearing oh, this is just how it should be. And I really just want to plead to the emphos of my audience. Dang, I didn't expect a PP stream on the Thursday. I'm sorry. Ramu, it's all good. No, we're doing the live PlumesCast. Welcome. But no, you missed my entire rant about, student loan stuff. And now I'm getting into the juicy part about being empathetical and being mindful and being kind. It doesn't cost a fucking thing. And I really just want to stress that. I want to talk to everybody and say, it doesn't take much to be kind to another person. It doesn't take much to acknowledge their existence. It doesn't take much to say, hey, you're heard. And I still, to this day, blows my mind how many people are willing to turn a blind eye to the subject. So look, I got, 8 real steps to kind of show more empathy in life that I want to go over. And I want to talk more about, how you can apply empathy into your daily life. That's the core thing of this. All right. Because, yeah, all in all, this whole thing that started it, the whole thing that changed this podcast from how to start new, goals and actually sticking with them. And here's some tools of which you can help yourself with. No, the thing that ultimately changed it was the student loan things, like the forgiveness programs, are being debated. And we're fighting it. It's going to go to the Supreme Court. And it's just mind-blowing to me how many people are like, yes, good, perfect timing, got the rug pull underneath them, good. It's sickening. I hate it. So look, in starting all of this, I want to start from, the same playing field. I want to be in that Twitter chat, and I want to talk to y'all about being more empathetical. And the first thing you can do in that is let go of your biasness. Like, yes, I can fully see somebody who's paid their student loans off entirely. I respect the hustle. I'm still doing it too. And I'm working hard at it every single day. But understand that just because you did it, just because I'm doing it, doesn't mean that the next generation should continue to do it. Yes, I believe that if you take out student loans, you absolutely should pay them back. But there's no reason why that should be 8% interest rate, 10% interest rate. It's stupid. Yeah, Ramu brings up a great point. What happened to wanting a better future for your kids than what you had? It's not a thing anymore. And I talked about it earlier on. I'm going to repeat it again. But the baby boomers have maintained the power. Typically in political situations, political democracies, the new generation overtakes the old one. But because the baby boomers were just so big, we have not reclaimed voting power over them yet. And I understand most of my wisdom listeners are baby boomers. This is not the podcast app for millennials or Gen Z or anything else. And if you are, by all means, talk to me, reach out to me, connect with me. I want to have conversations with you. But no, debt doesn't help circulate the economy. It stalls it. It makes it worse. Inflation is continuously rising up. And instead of doing more to help the people, we're sending more of it off in foreign affairs. Which, yes, it's needed. But, what about us? And that's the thing, too. In talking about empathy, we are straight out, I'm in this instance, I understand why our money is going across to foreign aid. I understand that we're helping save a bunch of people. I get that. I'm fully about helping that. But where isn't there any way that we can do something back for our own country? I'm not saying reduce how much we're sending off in federal aid or foreign aid, but at the same time, why can't we be empathetical to ourselves? Why can't we look at ourselves and say, hey, we have a problem? Student loan debt is a massive thing in this country. Debt in general is a massive thing in this country. Why then do we continue to say, hey, ma'am, you got to pay off the entirety of it? By the way, the people that are saying that are also the ones that, are owning the apartments that are charging you $1,800 a month, who make a lot of these decisions. It's just, it makes me upset. It makes me very upset, and it hurts. Because greed. No. Shin is right. Shin is 100% right. It's greed. And that's all it is. Everything in this life has a dollar sign behind it. And it's terrible. And then less people can pay for apartments, and it comes back to hurt the landlords. Exactly. No, Ramu's dead on that. Look, I'm not asking for people to, completely put aside what they went through. But I want you to remember the struggle you went through and think, do you want that for your kids? Like, people are fully expecting right now that, when this generation passes out, when baby boomers retire, when they pass on, when they unalive, the money will come down to the millennials. Well, what about the millennials that don't have, rich baby boomer parents that got screwed over just like everybody else? What about the people that don't have family members like me? Who, my dad and mom are dead. I ain't getting shit, People don't think if consumers cannot buy stuff, they will run out of folks to sell to. Then what? No, they'll just continue to sell to the people they can sell to. And they'll come up with different programs to inspire more debt into the generations. Like, one thing that absolutely destroys me is, instead of working to try and make things cheaper, we now have programs like, I think it's Kiara or something like that, where you can buy things now and over 4 months pay it back. Yes, that keeps more money in the pockets of anybody who uses it, but at the same time, you're also paying interest on that. And you're giving more money away, and you're spending money you don't have, is the reality of it for a lot of people. And they struggle to make those payments. And then, people will say, oh, well, you shouldn't be making those purchases anyway. What about baby food? What about groceries? What about necessities? What about housing? Like, there's nothing here to help. From what I'm seeing in my particular area, landlords are trying to sell to someone else and no one can afford it. Thus, the cycle of debt continues for renters and tenants alike, says Raymond. Shin says, over here, the homeless are being told to go to maids rather than being helped. Yeah, no. Nobody cares. And again, that's the first step to being more empathetical, is let go of your bias to it. Yes, we've all struggled in life. Yes, we all went to school. Yes, we all learned. But why then do we continue to perpetuate, I suffered, so you have to suffer too? We should be working to try and make things easier for people, to try and make the burden just a little less. Hearing people say, well, your priorities aren't correct when I'm trying to save money to buy a house. I'm trying to, do what I can to kind of get my footing in the door. I know I'm lucky compared to a lot of people who are 27 years old. I know a lot of 27-year-olds that have a bunch of roommates just to afford a 1-bedroom apartment. All right? That's not right. And the housing costs are way too high. Nobody's getting into these houses. It's going to be another, economic collapse because the rich just want to keep getting richer and the poor are just going to keep getting poorer. That brings me to my next point. You need to be present. You need to be here in this very moment when talking about things that we have all gone through, talking about experiences, whether it be broken bones, broken marriages, or being in debt. Yes, it's great to be mindful of where you were in the past to relate to somebody, but you also have to look at it in the present. Things aren't the same as they were back in the day. What you went through is still different. Like, you could go through the same experience, the exact same experience, but have a date change. Let's just say somebody lost their dad. All right? I've lost my dad. I understand how much it blows. But I also understand that the things I went through to get my dad's estate in order may be different than what it is now, thanks to technology. Who says who can access, dad's computer after he's dead? Who has access rights to that? Who has the ability to, go through and check his phone? These are all questions that before in the past I didn't really have to think too much about. Yes, it was still a thing, but it changes. Understand that yes, even though we all go through similar experiences, even a time difference can make the biggest difference in the world. And it's terrifying that so many people can't do that. People say, well, I paid my student loans. How much were they? How much were your student loans? And how much was everything else around you? How many of you in chat and in wisdom, raise your hand, can afford to, like, on your first paycheck, to pay rent for the month? I guarantee you a lot of people would say that they need part of their second check to pay for rent. I used to be like that. I still am like that to some degree, depending on how my check is for the month. But even still, it doesn't stop me from, trying to make a living for myself. But I still hear people that say, oh, well, you shouldn't have taken the loans if you didn't know, or if you weren't going to be able to pay them off. I was promised a lot more than what I got. It's funny. And mind you, I don't expect anything. I don't really want handouts. I don't want people to be like, hey, yo, here's this wad of cash just for living. I don't want any of that. I truly still believe that people need to go through some type of, grit, but it shouldn't be this hard. And look, they're predatory. It's bloody interest. No, it is. It fully is. Also, Raymu, thank you for the sub. I greatly appreciate it. Also, I hope you didn't do that because, me saying I'm barely making it through. Trust me, financially, I'm okay. I just have to change my plans a little bit to, there's your handout. Are you proud of me, Daddy? No, I'm not asking for that. I wish I could refund that, honestly. But genuinely, I don't want a handout in that kind of regard. I want people to be able to, to work, for sure. But I don't think it should continue to be as difficult as it has been. The world should be getting easier, shouldn't it? Why would you want people to go through the same thing you went through? And, especially if you don't understand where the person in front of you is standing at. It's different. And look, when you talk to people, okay, this brings into the next point. You need to be able to acknowledge us. That's the biggest problem, I would say, right now, is that anytime anyone from our generation speaks up against, again, I bring up the Starbucks dude who was crying about working 8 hours because he was overworked and he was misgendered and he was being yelled at. Nobody looked to experience or to understand their feelings about the situation. Okay? Nobody thought to say, what's causing all this? No, they just looked at the fact that the first thing they talked about was, Ayo, he's complaining about 8 hours worth of work. Instead of being yelled at by a grown-ass adult about coffee, of all things. If you can't look at somebody else and acknowledge their own feelings, yes, is crying about 8 hour workday a little, sure, I can acknowledge that. It's a part of that welcome to the real world mentality. But even still, the circumstances that led to them crying, not having support from a higher up, not having, any time for breaks, not being able to, balance work and school. We've all went through it. So why then do we look at the 8 hour number and be like, hey, he's just complaining about 8 hours? How dare he? And also ridicule that poor person to the point of putting him on fucking national television. Also, Ramu says, so many of my schools committed unalive. They didn't receive the love they needed from their fake friends, their negligent parents. I don't want that from Gen Z. Never. Also, they continue to say, 5 hours at one job is torture for me, and 8 hours at another job is fine for me. I can buy people crying about an 8 hour job. Oh, 120%. But you know what really just grinds my gears to steal that from Peter Griffin? Is people still say, of this generation, Ayo, you need to monetize your hobbies. You need to make money. You need to have separate revenue streams. We're told to invest. We're told to get into crypto. We're told, get into NFTs. We're told, you need to have a side hustle. When people older than us didn't have anything like that. Why? Mind you, I stream because I love making people laugh. I love giving safe spaces. I love making it, a fun environment for anybody to come in and talk to and talk about the world and just be okay. I love giving people that little requiem, that phantasma from the world, a thing that shouldn't exist but does. I love that. But so many people see Twitch streamers as, oh, they're just, trying to make money off their hobby. How dare they? Or, YouTubers or Etsy designers. Like, I don't believe hobbies should ever need to be monetized just to live. Like, yes, I'm good at games. I'm good at podcasting, I'd like to believe. I make a little bit of change here and there from it, but I would never do it for the money. I do it because I want to share a message. I want to empower people. I, again, want to give people a reprieve from the rest of the world. Just for a little bit. And I don't think I'm alone in doing, a side hustle, quote unquote, to, help other people. Being the forefront of what we're doing. But unfortunately, we're told, oh, hey, what, like, this was a real article that came out on, I believe it was the Wall Street Journal, or the Wall Street Constitution, whatever. It was, are you feeling burnt out at your job? You know what would help with the burnout from a job? Getting another job. That was a real article. Like, why? And I'm not, again, I will say this. I do believe there are extremes on both sides. I won't sit here and say the people on, our anti-work are 100% correct. But I don't believe, people are like, oh, I suffered through all this, pro-capitalism are right either. What we truly need is something that this country hasn't had in a long time, and that's true balance. Be able to please a little bit of both on both sides. It's crazy. It's fully crazy how, so many people can get worked up about so many things when really weren't we supposed to come together as a country and build each other up and make everything happy and positive and, make it better? It's individual greed that is slowly killing it. And somebody could easily challenge me. Somebody could say, Seth, if you won that $2 billion Powerball ticket, what would you do with it? And you know what? I have an answer, and I'll tell you that answer. But I'm also going to preface it with this. Words don't mean anything on their own. Words can become actions. Words can become the stepping stones to building something amazing. And that's why I'm going to tell you what I would do with that money. Because, I want my words, I want to speak it into reality. Because maybe I won't be able to do it, but maybe my community, or maybe somebody who listens to the podcast, or maybe somebody on Wisdom hears it and gets the idea and runs with it. I would fully be okay with not even being acknowledged. If I won that $2 billion Powerball ticket, mind you, at the end of taxes and everything else, it would have been like 700,000, whatever, or 700 million. That's still a sizable chunk. I would build homeless communities. I've already planned this out multiple times in my head, where it's not free. It's $5 to $10 a day. It's powered primarily by solar power. It's the reason the rent's so low is you have to upkeep it yourself. You can fully lose rights to be in there. But basically these are plastic homes. They are built similar to, there's a community in Japan that has earthquake-proof homes. That's what I want to mirror. I want to come up with a filtration system that recycles water. This is the way I was thinking about it, was shower water. Shower water can be, like, first off, yes, you have to run fresh water to it, but recycled rainwater could be captured from, the rooftops and all, pumped into a central irrigation system in which can feed a community garden. The whole premise of it is you guys have to take care of this society. It's a small little one, but it gradually brings people back into society. I want people to say, hey, it's $5 a day or $5 a week, whatever. But when you leave in the morning, your bed has to be made. It has to be clean. If you make a mess, you can buy things for like $1 to clean up. But you have a locked door as long as you need it. The key is individual to you. Yes, this would probably lose money to begin with. But ultimately what it would be is you have these communities of homeless people that don't have anything, to give them a start. Give them the ability to pick themselves up. Because sometimes all anybody needs is a shower and a set of clothes. I want to partner with a Plato's or something to have them, come out weekly and bring a bunch of clothes and say, okay, these clothes are severely marked down, 75% off. Now, Plato's already does a really low deal. But, if I can further knock that down, I want to do that and give people the resources they need. Electricity is solar power. If you use too much of it and you knock everything else out for everybody else, you're the asshole of the community. This is without a doubt a community. And I also want to, set up jobs within that community. I want people to, be able to get out, be close to a bus station. If I can, I'll build a, MARTA station right nearby. So that way they can get to work. So that way, people have a chance. And the thing is you are not guaranteed that home. If you're convicted of a crime, if you're, found breaking the rules of the little society, you're kicked out. Because I believe everyone deserves a second chance, but I don't believe everyone deserves a free ride. I believe we start there, and you get people who have been ignored by society back into society. And you know what I want? It's $5 up per day. If you feel like you've made a considerable amount of money in living in this homeless shelter, and you want to give back, you can. Because here's the thing, when you build a community, when you build friendship, and I want, a community class, schools in there. I want people to be able to come in and teach. I want to pay a set of teachers to be able to do what they need to do to get homeless people off the streets and get them into a place of safety, a society, a small place, 1 bedroom, 1 mini bath, something that it's like a hotel almost. But I want it to basically give people a shot again. Even for criminals too, like people that have gotten out of jail, I want them to have a chance. I don't want people to be turned down because of some, they had weed and that's on their criminal record. I truly believe that if you want to make a change, you got to start at the grassroots. And to start with that, you start with the people who have nothing. Because the people who have nothing are much more appreciative than the people that have everything. And those are the people that will continue to build, to take your community and build it even better. That is what I would do. And yes, I would pocket, a couple 100,000 here, or, not 100,000. Well, no, if it's a couple hundred if it's 700 million, right? Yeah, I'd take a couple 100,000. I'd buy myself a nice little house. So that way I had a place to stay. It wouldn't be anything massive. You'll eventually get to the 8 thing again, right? 8 thing? What do you mean, Rayma? But no. I would obviously be a little bit selfish and get something nice for myself. But 8 ways to... Oh, yeah, no. I will get back to that. But no, that's what I would do. Just because I want to see the people around me succeed, and I want to give them a chance. And I believe that's the way to do it. Instead of, building spikes into fucking benches and making things so uncomfortable that even common folk don't want to use it. You give them a chance. And yes, it may not work, but I'm willing to die trying. But no. That is, so to kind of go back to what Raymond was talking about, the 8 ways to better show empathy is, to start with it, listen with the goal to understand. Listen in on what people are saying. Don't go in, again, we've talked about before, don't go in with, your biasness from the past. Don't go in with your present thoughts. Go in to understand where the person's coming from. Take a moment and be in their shoes. And be genuine when you ask these questions. Because if somebody comes up to you and says, hey, yo, I want to know about your experience with housing market. Don't give immediate solutions. No, that's another point that I was going to get to. Good point, Ramu. But don't give immediate solutions without knowing the whole situation. No, don't even do that. Refrain from offering any unsolicited advice. I'll advance that. If somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I want to have a conversation with you. So, now, mind you, sometimes I have to do this because I am a people pleaser. It's my vice to always want to be like, hey, I want to help. Sometimes I have to ask people, do you want me to listen or do you want me to give you some kind of advice? And, some people will say both. Some people will say, just listen, let me vent for a little bit, and I'll be okay. I'm fine with either or. But you have to, understand where the person's coming from 100% before you can even, and understand, they may not want your advice. It's, they may look at you and be like, well, you just don't understand 100%. And sometimes, when you give people the answers they don't want to hear, they're going to be like, well, and that's okay. Maybe they just wanted to vent. They didn't realize it. And now they're like, oh, well, your solution is correct, but I just don't want to do it. And they get aggressive or they get mad at you. Okay. It's not your fault. You gave the right answer. But the thing is if they ask you for advice, give advice then. Don't go into it like, oh, well, when I was working and again, I keep going back to the student loans bit, but it's the most real conversation point right now. This literally happened 30 minutes before I started stream. And that's why I was late to it. But don't go into it saying, well, I just worked really hard, or I got investments, or I talked to my parents. We don't have that luxury a lot of the time. Again, you have to, going back to, the 8 points, we've talked about it before, you have to be present in this current time. And you can't have your biases about how you feel about the situation. If you fully intend to have a conversation with somebody that is hurting, you cannot go into it and have an idea of that person already. Because you will fully skew whatever they say. It's, you have to be impartial. You have to be like a jury, dude. Like a juror. Where you sit and you listen. Because guess what? Not every plaintiff is, or not every defendant is guilty. Phoenix Wright taught me that one. But no. Here's the thing too. Is you also have to, when I say be present, I also mean that in the physical sense too. Actually pay attention to them. Even if they say something you don't agree with, maintain eye contact. Be true. Sit there and be honest. Be, present physically in front of them and listen to them and actually hear them. Absorb what they're saying. Jesus, Raimu. Don't assume that Seth is a Viking warrior destined for Valhalla. He is, but don't just assume that. I am definitely not going to Valhalla for the shit I've done in life. But, no. Seriously. Sit there and be honest with them. Be true to them. Give them the opportunity to be real with you. Keep eye contact. Watch how they're... prove that you're there. And, give positive body language responses. Don't tap your foot. Don't cross your arms. Show that you're willing to be there and listen. Again, ask with the genuine curiosity and prove that you're genuine in asking. And then also, in all that, acknowledge their feelings. You know, everybody can like say, "Oh yeah, no, I care about you. I want to know what's going on." But nobody, if you don't listen to their feelings, like how, like for example, they could be completely wrong in something. Like they can be completely mad that McDonald's, ice cream machine isn't working, and they got pissed off at an employee. In that situation, they are wrong. Nobody should ever get that irrationally upset over, fucking soft serve ice cream. There's a bunch of different ice cream places in the world, but you also have to understand where they are coming from. It may not be correct, but hey, maybe that person, your friend, had a bad day and they just wrongly put it out on somebody else. It's not right, but that's how you help people grow. You say, listen, I understand you had a shitty day. I understand, I got a perfect answer for this, or a perfect story for this. There was one point, and my old roommate Jerry would tell you this, okay? But there was one point where I went berserk trying to get a McFlurry. I had a shitty day at work. I can't remember. You laughing about it back there? Oh, my bad. I was about to tell him the McFlurry story. But, no. There's one point where I was absolutely berserk for some McFlurry. And I really wanted, I went to 4 different McDonald's trying to get a McFlurry. I definitely, was more aggressive to these people than I should have been. But at the same time, I was honest with myself. Yes, I went and I was an asshole. But ever since, I haven't done it again because I was honest with myself. I sat down with myself and I said, hey, why was I, this pissed off about the ice cream machine being broken? To give you the examples, first ice cream machine was down. Okay, I understand. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Drive, in traffic at 10 minutes to get to the next McDonald's. Our ice cream machine's down. Ah, well, that sucks. Thanks, man. Go on to the next one. Third one, after being stuck in traffic for another 15 to 30 minutes, go up to the next McDonald's. Hey, is your ice cream machine working? Aw, nah, it's not. Are you fucking kidding me? Those were my exact words. Over a fucking McFlurry. In the fourth one, they finally had it. I was like, thank Christ. Get me a large. I need M&Ms in it. I was so happy to get that McFlurry, but I really had to sit down with myself and say, why was I that mad? And I understood that, I had a shitty day. It was not right of me to, push that onto somebody else. And in that moment, I became more empathetic because I understood from myself, just because I had a shitty day doesn't mean that it was right for me to act the way I did. And I should go apologize. Did I apologize? Yes, I did. Was it, the best way to do it? Probably not. I literally just went to that McDonald's, later on, and I saw the same guy, and I'm like, hey, man, listen, the third McDonald's specifically. I was like, hey, man, listen, I just wanted to apologize. I ordered some McNuggets or something. I'm like, listen, I just want to apologize. I popped off on you yesterday. It wasn't right of me. I apologize. And he appreciated it, because that's the thing is, when you have these experiences, when you get upset about things you can't control, it's understandable to be upset, but it's also on us to figure out how we should act, how we should behave. And when we misbehave, we have to own up to our actions. In doing that, we become more empathetical to ourselves and then can be more empathetical to the world around us. Because when it happens to us, we understand, oh, hey, I had a similar time. And this brings me to my final point, opening up about a similar experience. I had a similar time. I got pissed off because I didn't get my McFlurry. I understand why people were yelling at the Starbucks dude because they didn't get their coffee. Maybe they were having a really rough day and they just needed that boost. I understand it. It doesn't make it right, but it's a growing moment for both people to say, hey, at this point, at this moment, I understand why you are upset, That does not make it right. And this is why. So yeah, no, there's all 8. Wow, I've been going for an hour already. That's kind of wild to me. But no, there's your 8 points. To sum it all up one more time, you listen with the goal to understand. You ask with genuine curiosity. You be present in the current moment and understand the circumstances that the person's in. You have to let go. And to do that, you have to let go of your biases. That's point 4. You also, if you're not asked for advice, don't give it. If somebody comes up to you and says, I need a rant, let them rant. Be there, be present, be physical with them. Show them positive body language. Keep your eye contact. Smile, nod your head. Prove that you're listening. Ask questions when things come up that you genuinely don't understand. And in asking those questions, acknowledge their feelings. Be genuine with how they feel about, the entire experience. That's why I want, again, to have these conversations about the student loan stuff. Because, why? Because, again, I want people to talk to me in their genuine feelings about how they feel about the student loan cancellation. Whether or not they think it was a smart thing that it was struck down, or whether or not they think it's going to come through, and why they feel the way they do about it. And then, open up about a similar experience. Be able to talk about, a similar time in which you experience some kind of unjust nature, and be able to relate to them. Because if you can put yourself in their shoes and understand why people feel the way that they do, then all of a sudden, you start to become a little bit kinder. You start to understand the world around you. And some of that natural greed that kind of that grinds at all of us disappears. We can all be better people. We can all be kinder, softer, and build other people up. We should be working as a community to, ultimately build the best society we can. We shouldn't make it so because I suffered, you should suffer too. I don't believe the world should be as easy as reaching out your hand and grabbing something. But at the same time, at many junctures of life, a lot of people, just like me, Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, don't have the understanding, don't know, the questions to ask to even get to the answers that they're looking for. I'm not asking for those handouts. What I am asking for is a roadmap to point me in the right direction, so that way I know what I'm doing is correct. And right now, we have none of that. That is what I challenge everybody who listens to this podcast to do. Don't give out everything, but give people a roadmap. Let people talk. Let people get everything off their chest. Because even in just talking about this, in this recording, going from the very beginning of it to now, I think people can tell, even I've gotten softer, even though I was super pissed off before I even started recording. That's the thing I really want to inspire into people, is that you don't have to solve all their problems. You just have to let people get it off their chest and talk about it and get it into the air and share ideas and share feelings. Because let's be entirely fair, everybody can be a little bit better about sharing their own feelings and being kinder. Here's your roadmap. Hands you a garbled Reimu coin PDF. Enjoy your billions of dollars. Oh man, Reimu, if you had some coin, some Bitcoin, some meme coin, whatever, I would invest in it. I'd fully invest in that. But anyway, no, I think that is everything I need to say here. And again, I'm not the perfect person saying all this. And I hope in telling everybody these stories and, talking about all these different bullshit experiences, we can all kind of come together and be more honest with each other and say, Ayo, some of the things that are going on in life right now aren't correct. That's why I do the charity work that I do, to try and, raise awareness about the conversations that need to be had, that illuminate the problems that aren't being talked about in society. Because different, bigger issues are going on. We can't just ignore everything, But again, all of this is what you will make of it. You yourself have to look within yourself and figure out where you stand on this entire spectrum. Are you sympathetic? Are you empathetic? Are you able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and feel the emotions that they feel? Or are you just sympathetic to how they feel? It's two completely different things. And just being sympathetic, also, it's not charity, Ramu. It's, I don't even think the command's on there. Actually, I was going to set it up, and then I got super pissed off about the student loan stuff. My bad. I will get that fixed up. It's in the Discord. It's like noshavenovember.com/member. It's like /member/PhantasmaPlumes. It's a long thing. I don't think the command's on there. No, it is not. But no, it's on the Discord, which anybody's more than welcome to join in by doing !Discord. But no, that is kind of the whole thing I wanted to talk about was, we can all do better. We can all look inside ourselves and say whether or not we're doing right by the people around us. Yes, it's okay to be selfish at times. Discord. Good Lord. But no, it's okay to be selfish at times. It's okay to be proud of the money that you've earned. But at the same time, remember where you came from. That's the one thing, too. If you ever became famous, remember the friends that you had in school. And remember where you came from. Never forget the grassroots, because that's where all trees grow from. Whew. Jesus fuck. Alright, I think I have been talking long enough here. So guys, I think I'm going to give you all the opportunity real quick. If anybody has any conversation topics they want to bring to the table, now is the time to say it. Whether that's in the or in the Twitch chat. If you want to shoot a quick email to PlumesCast@gmail.com, you're more than welcome to do that. If we don't talk about it this week, we will talk about it next week. Next week is the last podcast before my birthday. So I will be talking about all the crazy things that have gone on this year. And, how eventful 27 was for me. And things I've learned being 27 and going into 28. I really, again, in doing all this, how to de-escalate two well-meaning people fighting via the power of empathy. Okay, no. This is a good conversation topic. We can talk about this for a minute. So Ramu asked, for people who didn't hear me the first time, how to de-escalate two well-meaning people fighting via the power of empathy. So both people are trying to be empathetical about the same problem. Look, at the end of the day, as we talked about before, you have to be able to find happy mediums. In solving both the right-wing and left-wing problems of the world, there's a bunch of different ways you can approach it. But what we really need at the end of the day is a strong medium answer. Agree to disagree. Figure out what pieces work together. If, say for example, if they are talking about, how to do food, fight global hunger, or world hunger rather, which I guess both of the words are the same thing, but that doesn't matter. Person A says, well, hey, we should give them the resources to farm and grow their own crops, while person B says we should just give them food because we waste so much food here. Both are coming from well-meaning spots when the answer should be a combination of both. You start off by giving people, the food that they need to give them the strength to go farm. Teach them how to farm. The saying is, if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll eat for the rest of his life. That is true, but the man still needs to eat the fish to understand and have the energy to teach other people how to fish. Find happy mediums. If both people are truly being empathetical and are trying to understand the situation from a genuine position, then both people can come to a conclusion that should satisfy the both of them. Because being an empath doesn't mean you are correct. Being an empath is seeing the situation from whatever side you can, being in that person's shoes, and seeing, well, maybe person A, who's arguing to, just give them tools they need to farm, is right on certain degrees, but it needs to be staged. I still think my solution is correct by bringing people that need it food. Because yes, there is a bunch of waste. And in doing so, not only do you inspire a community to, see what food waste can really do and maybe make a community rethink how much food they waste, but you also give another community the ability to farm and the ability to learn and grow and develop. It's a win-win to both sides. At least that's how I would go about it. It may not be the most correct answer, and again, every situation is going to be different. You can't go into it with any sense of bias. You just have to be as level-headed as you can be and understand what the other person is going through and where the other people who are offering advice are coming from. Because, hey, a lot of the advice and a lot of the emotions that being an empath has come from places of hurt at times. Maybe the person that suggested just giving them food didn't have a lot of money for food growing up. Meanwhile, the person that suggested farming came up from from a family that had, the ability to take care of themselves. That doesn't mean either one is wrong. It just means this is where they came from. To be an empath, to stop two empaths from fighting, is to be understanding of all parties involved and finding the best happy medium that you can. I hope that answers your question. But no, I've been going now for over an hour and 12 minutes. Honestly, I could keep going on this, but I believe I've gotten all my points across. So seriously, I do just want to take a minute to say, on the recording here, to the Wisdomers, thank you so much for being here, being a part of this. I will be answering more of those questions that have come through in the coming days as time is allotted to me. And, hoping to share more of my profound wisdom with y'all. And to the Twitch stream who's come in, come out. Seriously, I hope, you guys had fun listening to this and hearing just a bit more of the stories. Merry Christmas, Seth the God Butcher. Wow. No, but I hope the people that have listened to this live on Twitch, had fun interacting with me. And I hope the people that are listening to this via, Spotify, Google Podcast, YouTube, whatever this is on, can understand and can grow with this. And I hope this kind of made you smile, made you think, and made you laugh. If I've done those three things, then it's a successful podcast, even if nobody listens to it. But I have people listening right now, so that didn't happen. Yay! But anyway, guys, remember, you can find me in the night skies across different platforms. You've got PhantasmaPlumes on Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. You can listen to PlumesCast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Wisdom, and soon to be YouTube. And you can email the show directly by sending it to plumescast@gmail.com. That email again is plumescast, PLUMESCAST @gmail.com. Guys, thank you all so much for listening in, and as always, I'll talk to you from the stars very soon. Until next time, everybody, bye-bye!